Hey guys, how are you today? I want to show you a project I'm making. I'm making a hope chest with dragonflies on it. This time I'm not going to do inlays, but it is all out of hardwood. Um, and I wanted to show you how I glue it together, what clamps I use. I mean, I love these clamps. I just started using them, and I'll show them to you in a minute. But I'm going to show you guys how to do how I did. That's not how to do it. I mean, everybody has a different way of doing everything. Um, I was sitting here just a minute ago and I was thinking about questions, yesterday, I was cutting some wood on my bandsaw and I could not for the life of me think of what the fence was called, or not what it was called, but I could see it. I could look at it. I knew what it was, but it wouldn't come out of my head. Um, and so, I mean, I could just, in my head, I could hear fence, 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 but it would not come out of my mind. I could see the word and I just could not spit it out. My mom says that she has the same problem. But so what I'm trying to get to is, bear with me if I sit there and say, the wood. It's just me trying to, I mean, it's really me being who I am. Um, so I'm making once again, I'm making a hope chest. And last one I did with inlaid bear or buffalo, an inlaid buffalo and an inlaid elk on the sides of it. And it was made out of walnut and maple. I also did a joinery design where it waved in, just like some of my boxes that I have on here. Um, but this time I decided, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get poplar and I'm going to get alder, cheaper woods, and then I'm going to glue it all together, and I'll put the design of the dragonfly on there. And then when I was doing it, the alder matched up to where it looked almost like plywood, and I didn't like that. So I decided, okay, well, let's go ahead and do it blue. So I went with the teal, kind of bluish color. It's the same color I have on my door. But in a minute, I mean, later on, I'll show you it's on here on Instagram. It it came out beautiful. I mean, I just took the palm sander, went over it. It sanded off some of the blue, but it gave it kind of an antiquish look, which is exactly what I was going for. But again, what I want to do today is glue some stuff together, show you these clamps. They're a little bit difficult sometimes putting them together, but it's the best clamp system I've ever found. I love it. You can make it as long as you want. You can make it as short as you want. It just depends on the piece of wood you use between it. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and glue up my alder and my top for the dragonfly. And what I wanted is some contrast. So I'm going to show it to you. I was going to just put alder together and just throw it together and hope that you couldn't really see the seams on it and stuff. But then I started looking at it. I'm like, that's really kind of plain. I'm not very plain. How many of you guys want to just build something just to see if you can do it? I wanted to do it. At first I wanted to do like a brick look on it. I was like, yeah, but Tran, let's get this done. Let's not do that. So I'll have that brick look on something else, and I plan on doing that. But as I was cutting, I was like, well, it's got poplar in it, so let's go ahead and let's put alder, poplar, or alder, poplar, a big piece of alder, just like up in front, poplar, alder, poplar, big piece of alder, and then again on each end there's a 3/4 inch piece of poplar. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue it all together, and then I'll trim the ends of it so they're straight. So they're straight. I'll get them so they're straight, and then I'll take and I'll put a 3/4 inch piece of poplar on each side, so it just kind of boxes it in, so it kind of frames it in. I like it. Again, I like these clamps. People have asked, I've heard a lot of people, do you use biscuits? I don't use dowels. The dowels would give it more strength. I know that. But I usually will use Titebond 3. And I've got an old woodworker that he uses Titebond 2 just because of the fact he says the strength difference isn't much difference, but he says the cure time or the set time on it, not the cure time, but the set time on it is like 3 to 6 minutes. Titebond 3 is, and it's not going to tell me right here, but usually I have it. But I think it's got a little bit more set time. The other day when I was gluing this together, in fact yesterday when I was gluing this piece together, that piece of poplar, all poplar, when I was gluing that together, I didn't like where it came out. It wasn't straight on an edge. And dummy me, I cut them all to length, and instead of just gluing it together and then cutting it so it was square, or perfect edges, I glued them all together. So I'm like, and one was sticking out just a little bit, and on the other side it wasn't right. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to take these clamps off real quick and move it. Within the seconds that I did it in, and I mean seconds, or maybe minutes, okay, minutes, within minutes, the piece that I was trying to move was so glued together I had to use a hammer to sit there and knock it to get it, and I mean, it was there. And to knock it loose to get it to move, and I finally got it to move and got it to where I needed it. I don't sand any of it down because after I'm done, I'll just run it through the drum sander, and then it sands it down to where I want it to. With that being said, I guess we'll get to what I was planning on showing you in the first place. So let's start with this. These right here is the clamps that I use. I know you can buy them at Woodcraft. I didn't buy these at Woodcraft, but I know you can. I bought these on Amazon. You can see that my glue marks, I need to sand and get rid of all this stuff so it's more flat. But I made it short enough that I can glue like this together. I also have some more. You see, I'll see if I can find out where I bought these at. So I bought them on Amazon. From who It doesn't say. It just says 4-way clamp system, and it exactly is what it says. It's a 4-way clamp system. I like it because it puts pressure on the top part of the wood, it puts pressure on the bottom part of the wood, and it puts pressure on the side of the wood. Hence the 4-way clamp, right? Okay, well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start gluing up. And hopefully you can see everything I'm doing. Yep, you should be able to. Okay. So, start with the bottom piece. I've done it different ways. Usually I'll do this side here first, going up, as long as my wood is straight enough to do it. and it is. But I'll glue it up, and then I'll put my clamp system on the one, lay it down, or get it tight, lay it down, bring it over, and then I'll take that the next clamp, and I'll put it on there, and I'll just lift it up, slide it in, get the clamp on, or the turning part on there, and then clamp that side to get it to where it needs to go. That's what I found to be the easiest. But, you know, let's try it and see. Hopefully I have enough glue. I do. And I put a lot of glue on. It doesn't matter. I'll wipe it off when I'm going. These clamps, if they are sticking, I just kind of smack them on the ground. And they tend to, it breaks it loose. Again, I love Type On 3. Sometimes I'll use super glue for what I'm going to do, but Type On 3 seems to work the best for the projects I like. So I laid it all out. So you saw how I glued that one together. And I just kind of wiggle it back and forth and wiggle it back and forth. Maybe I can bring you closer so you can see what I'm doing. I kind of went over the side on this one. And it really, again, it doesn't matter because it's going to spit out. Your glue is always going to just kind of, you know. So let me see if I can get a little bit closer so you can see my glue mark here. All right. And again, I just go back and forth and back and forth. Now, hopefully this is probably the first video I'm going to put on YouTube for gluing up. And I know I'll put it on Instagram. Again, it'll slide. And you'd think that after it got up so high, it's probably going to topple over. It might. I have no idea. But most of the time with what I've been able to do, it hasn't toppled over like that. Old word worker that I was talking about earlier, he told me, he says, I was telling him that I don't use biscuits or dowels in it. And I was telling him, because I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he says, it'll make it stronger. And I says, well, yeah, but I said that glue, and it's always been that case. And for the most part, I have never had it be the joint where I glued at crack more so than the wood itself. Like the wood actually broke before the joint did. Now, I do believe that this is probably the tallest I've ever done. So if I have to, and it doesn't stick up like this, I know that this is the easiest way to clamp it, going upward. But if I can't do it, I will lay it down and I will clamp it on the, laying down. And hopefully I don't say any swear words because I try not to. And sometimes it just spits out, I know. This one's just a little bit more full. To get my boards straight, I really ought to have a planer. I don't have a planer. There's a jig that you can make on table saw that does it. I don't do that, and I probably should, because I'm sure there's people out there that would say, oh yeah, you need to. I personally don't do it. I just take it and cut it on the table saw. I cut one edge. I find a good edge that I can cut off of. And what I've found is, let me show you a piece. This won't be a good one to do, but what I find is, this is rough lumber from Macbeth's hardwood. So I found that it is, you know, I look to see what I can find that's pretty level. Then I'll take just a sliver off of one side, and then I'll go and I'll flip it around and I'll take the sliver off the other side. If it's been done right, it's pretty flat and level. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it bows. I have one over here that I was working on and it bowed out. The great thing is these clamps do spring that in, or, you know, get that bow to go in. The only thing that I don't know, and because I haven't had them do, I haven't let it do it long enough, but I don't trust the bow in it enough not to break and spring back. Now, I have glued them together where it did have that spring in it. Then I turned around and I said, nope. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is, I have had it where the springs in it and I glued it together and it worked. You know, it did a good job. But it did a good job. And it held. Once I'm done gluing, I leave it overnight, 24 hours, you know, to get the set time on it. Because I want that strength. Again, I want this to overflow. And I'll bring you over here and you'll see, in a minute I'll bring you over on this side, and you'll see how it's just dripping down. Which to me tells me, okay, I've got enough glue on it. Again, it's, you know, it's going straight up, and that means that these are pretty level. They are. It might have a bow in it. I know this wood is not level this way. I mean, it has got its tweaks and stuff like that, but I've got a good enough edge on this here that it's sitting on there flat. It's not trying to go, you know, it's not trying to fall over. It's not trying to tilt, but that's so far. And again, I love to make things. I know I have to make money off this stuff, but I love to create. Oh, I want to just try this and see if it'll work. My jewelry boxes that I make, I did that just because I made one, just because I wanted to try. I have my CNC machine over here. I got a part for it. And I was like, oh, I bet you I could do. I bet you. See, and I looked at this. So this edge right here, I didn't like. Or I wanted it on the outside of it. I didn't like. So I want it to be on the out rather than on the in. And then I'm going to show you something else about it. So you'll see that I was talking about it being bowed. the wood itself, this piece up here is actually, I can see that it's bowed out a little bit. So I'll show you that in just one moment. Here, I'm going to pull you back just a little bit, because you really can't see the glue up of it. Now I've got all my pieces on. I'm going to grab the clamp, but first let me flip you or bring you over here, because I want you to see how it's glued. You can see the dripping on it. So I'm going to take you and bring you back here, and I'm going to actually do the clamp that I showed you earlier, the 4-way clamp. But first, because I've got the drip, and again, this piece up here, it's out just like maybe that much from it on both sides. I'm okay with that. Now, if I had to have it this thick, I wouldn't be going with this size of wood. I'd be going with a lot thicker wood. This is 4/4 from, again, Macbeth's hardwood. The reason why they say 4/4 or 4/4 or 4/4 is because it has 1 inch basically, or 4/4 in the wood. I would probably go with a 6/4, and the reason why I'd say that is because at that point I could glue it all together and I could sand it down or put it through a planer, whatever you have. I personally used to have a planer. I didn't care for the planer, and a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, well, because you can get rid of a lot of wood at once. True, but I love the way the sander works. I like the way that it sands it, gets it nice and clean, smooth. I do 60 grit. I don't usually go up above the 60 grit. The reason why I do 60 grit is because it gets rid of anything more, sticks the glue will gum it up. It doesn't tend to glue or gum up the 60 grit as much. So again, I told you those I'm gonna find the glue marks. I'm gonna try and get rid of most of them without knocking it over. that's a chore in itself. Now you'll see up here, and I might zoom in just show you. You'll see up here, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can, but I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. If you look right here, you can see how it's bowed up on there. When I put that together before, it didn't. It might just be the way the wood is. I don't know, but I'm not worried about it. Again, these clamps should clamp it together tight enough that gap will go away. And this has just got a spring, so I can see that it'll spring and then it'll glue. It'll be nice and tight. Well, now that I got the glue up, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off this back side. Again, this is going to be my first video. Hopefully it's good. I don't know. I'm going to keep trying to do more. I really want to show my work. I want to show how I could create. I love it. It's something I do. It's a passion. It's funny when you get excited about a wood grain, a wood color, all that stuff. I remember going over to this old guy's house. It's a friend of my mom and dad's, mine. His name's Ron, and I don't remember his last name because, again, I know it, but I don't. Clemens. But he's the one that showed me the drum sander the first time. And I'm trying to get my face in view, but he showed me the drum sander for the first time, and I was like, oh, and we were doing some purple heart and some red heart, and you could just see the beauty coming out of it. And he looked at me and says, you get as excited about wood as much as I do. And I'm like, yes, I do. I love it. So it's exciting. And I know there's people out there that get it as just as excited about wood. And it doesn't need to be hardwood. It can be plywood, it can be pine. What they're getting excited about is the operator. You know, they know that they get to build. I know that I get excited because I know that I'm creating. I guess what I'm saying is it's art. All of our stuff is art. It's just a different form of art. It's not paint or pencil or anything like that. And it doesn't even matter if it's this or if it's cabinetry. Did you see it? That almost went. And I would add the glue hose back up again. I'm bringing it more closer to me because I want my clamps to be in a little bit more. But anyway, what I'm saying is it's artwork. You know, it doesn't matter, again, it doesn't matter that it's not pen and pencil. It doesn't matter that it's not paint. It doesn't matter, I mean, as simple as building the shop, you know, putting up this. It's not necessarily art, but it's creating, it's creativity, it's your love for what you do. I love it. I'm sure all of you guys love it. I'm probably talking too much. And I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, yes, you are. And I do. I talk a lot about exactly what I love. Again, we're hoping that I don't swear. So I'm trying to get these together without tilting. And then I got to bring this up. And this is the clamp. I don't know if I showed you. And I'll bring it closer so you can see it after I get it on. After I get it hooked on and everything like that. I want to go down to the 2. There's 2 notches right down here for it. I'm going to go as far up as this will let me. If this doesn't allow it, which it doesn't seem like it's going to, I might go to that one. I prefer to have the 2. But it looks like that's where I'm going to be at. So what I might do is I might go ahead and glue this up, get this clamp on so it's on, put my other clamp on, and then take this one off and reset it. So I've got more. What I have to do is go down lower on there to get more of a of glue. 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm not. There we go. It popped into place. Okay, I'll just try and get these. Now I'm not so worried about it falling apart. You know, coming off, not gluing together as much. Just because now I've got it basically together. You can see it's starting to push all the glue out along here. And maybe you can't see that, but I wiped it off earlier. But we'll bring it closer. Oh, yeah, you can see that it's starting to push right here. And then that's the clamp that goes on there. I would like to get it down to about right here. But like I said, we'll see where I'm at. What I would have to do is undo it, get this lower piece of this clamp so it's down one more notch, and then I can get these two. I can get this one to go down another notch. But I'm going to leave that as it is right now. And we're going to lay it down flat so I can put the other clamp on. And that way I can get it set up. So basically I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to bring it back over on this side, over here, so you can see what I'm doing. I'll swing you around, bring you over here, and we'll get a good angle on it. So now, again, we want, you know, the clamp is good, it's solid. What I was trying to do is just get this to match up. Honestly, I really don't care because, like I said, I'm going to come through and cut it so it has a straight edge. So again, I was saying that I was going to, oh, I'm trying to glue that bottom piece down with it. So you can see here, so I've got that wave sticking out over there, which I'm going to actually change this. So again, like I was showing before, there's notches right here. So, and again, you can make this piece of wood this tall, you know, it doesn't really matter. So on this one, I had it up here for the second one. I said I wanted to go back further, so I have two up here, two up on the clamp, two up here rather than one up there clamping. So I'm going to put this one back one and then under, and then I'll bring the other board up. I'll bring the other board up, or the other clamp board, and when I'm at it, I'll take my rag, and I'll kind of wipe off this glue. Okay, and sorry. I went down to the same size. Now I can find my other clamp. Just like everybody, all the woodworkers out there, everybody else, you lose your tools. We're always looking, going, huh, I know I had it just a second ago. We lose it. That always happens to me all the time, especially with pencils. I'll be like, what the heck did I do with that? I don't know if you can see this, but I'll zoom you in a minute. I am actually going to try. This piece decided to slide out just a tiny bit. I'm going to get you closer into here so you can see. Okay. So on that one I went with 1. You can see that I went here with the 2. I'm going to go with 2 on it, but I don't know if I can get 3 on it. Part of the problem is because these like to expand this, and then it doesn't allow it to come down into the groove. So I think we'll leave that there. Again, if I decide to adjust it, because I prefer to get a little bit more on it if I can. So I am going to lift it up and lift up that clamp on the bottom. Kind of go in, trying to figure out the 3rd mark. Okay, it clicked in. Now, what I was trying to say before, there we go. So it did allow me to click it in. Sometimes, and if and when you get these, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because basically this thing will come back so far and it'll push it up like this so it's not going down on it. So now I'm going to just take it. Get it to basically where I want it at. I'll clamp her together. Remember, I was talking about how I didn't like where that clamp was. And the other thing is if you notice, right here, I feel like I have more clamp ability. So I can put more pressure on it. Whereas that, I feel like there's more threads in, and I would like to have more threads out. So I'm going to go ahead and change that side over there. Now that I've got this one clamped, I'm going to change it so it'll be where I want it at. So now I can loosen this one up. You might even hear a pop, I don't know. So I'm going to loosen it up. I'm going to come back over here and we're going to move these two. Again, these are hard. They're hard, but they put pressure on all 4 sides. And what I like about it, again, is because of the pressure on all 4 sides, it doesn't allow, I've used clamps in the past where, I've used clamps in the past where if I was using them and clamping them, the piece would slide on me one way or the other. This doesn't allow those to slide. It puts the pressure on it so the middle pieces or the other piece or whatever it is that you're trying to glue together, it puts pressure on it. So if it's going to slide, it might slide maybe a quarter or an eighth of an inch, if that, and it's not going to go anywhere. So it's going to glue exactly where you want it to glue at. It'll stay where you want it to stay at. And then once you're done, it makes a solid piece. And it gives you, it just makes it strong, solid. And I'm going to flip this back up on its level or face or whatever, because I wanted to show you this piece, this top piece, when we first started, we talked about how it had a little bit of a spring gap or whatever you want to call it on it. But I want to show you how these clamps have just clamped that down to where there really isn't any spring on it. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to glue it all, or clamp it as many times, as tight as I can, basically. And on that one, I've got less than I do on this. I'm not quite sure why, but I do. That's confusing to me. But anyway, as long as it measures out to be the same. Sorry, I cut in front of the camera. We're about 20 3/8. Yeah, 20 3/8. And 20 3/8. I'm good with it. Again, I don't know. Maybe I did these different than those. I really don't know. Maybe they're a little shorter or longer. I can't tell you. When I first got these clamps, I was so excited about them, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to throw them together. So I did. I glued them, or I drilled the holes for them. They come looking like this. They have this, and they give you the instructions to glue it. And they tell you 2 pieces on one end, 1 piece on the other end. I drilled the holes because this is hardwood. I drilled the holes for it. You can use pine. In fact, that's what they say. Use a 2x4. Cut it, get a level, whatnot, and then it works. I just decided to use hardwood on it. And then it comes with the screws, the clamps, everything like that. You do it. That's why I'm saying that this one might be longer or shorter. I don't know. Because I just wanted to see it. So I'm going to bring you around here again just to kind of get an idea of what I was talking about with that gap. If you look, there's where the glue is starting to spit out. Let me wipe that off. See how it's pinched together up there? When I'm done, when I'm all finished gluing, when this is sat for 24 hours, that'll stay. And it's sweet. It's sweet that it goes into the, how it comes out of the drum sander. And see, that's what I was talking about when I first started. About it's not really a stutter, I don't think, but it's trying to get my words out. Trying to explain what I'm trying to say. I think I can see it in my mind, I can think of it in my mind, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. And that's about it. I'll generally, I'll tighten these down a little bit more as much as I can, but I'll generally take it from here and just lay it on the floor, and I lay it flat ways, just as if like it was, you were stickering the wood. I'll lay it on the floor so that it can be, so it's just like set flat. I don't know if that helps or if it doesn't help, but that's just how I do it. And other people, like I said at the beginning of the segment, the video or whatever you want to call, other people have everybody has their own way of doing things. And what I've learned in life is one way is not always the right way or the wrong way. It's the way it works for people. That goes for everything. Weight loss, whatever you want to talk about. Everybody has a way of doing things. And whether it's the way I glued this together, whether you really like to put dowels in, it doesn't matter. It really just matters of how you want to do it, how you want to create it, how you want to put it together. And it doesn't matter if it's woodworking, buying a car, going out, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many things that's how it works. People do things their way. Not always is it right. I'm not saying that it is, but if it turns out the way it's supposed to, and the end result is the same, what does it matter? I'm Trent Malcolm with the Burning Tree Production. Anyway, I'm Trent Malcolm with the Burning Tree Productions. Me and my mom and dad started this business about 5 years ago. We did have a different name back then. It was called the Creative Wooden Rings and Things. That's how I started doing things. My parents have always been woodworkers, or they've done. My mom crocheted. My dad he carved trees or canes, faces and canes. He still carves. Right now he's playing on the lathe, and he's like, "Oh, I love it." And I'm like, "Yep, I loved it when I was first involved in my lathe." But that's the thing, creativity. Don't stop the creativity. Keep going. And again, thanks. I hope you enjoy this. I hope, like I said, it was my first video. It's my first video. I'm going to do more. Whether people like it or not, I want to show my work. So thank you and have a good day.